I'm sharing my screen. If you can see, then let me know. Also wanted to know from you guys, like tomorrow, are you guys available for the class? Like, like Monday we have Diwali. So if you are available to join, then I can take the class on the same time, 6 o'clock only I can take. If most of you are not available, then we can cancel tomorrow's class. So please let me know your decision in the WhatsApp group after this class. Okay, so can you see my screen? Anyone can confirm?
Yes, Ramesh.
Okay. So let's start with this one. So the requirement traceability matrix I've already discussed in the last class. What is requirement traceability matrix and how it looks like? So Mazid, I think for you, you have to watch those two recordings, then you can understand this part. Okay. So the type of traceability matrix, one is the forward traceability. Forward traceability, I have already explained in the last class. The document, the Excel sheet document that I have shown, that is the example of forward traceability, where we map the test cases against the requirement. In forward traceability matrix, what happens? Requirement to the test cases. It ensures that the project progresses as per the desired direction and that every requirement is tested thoroughly. So in forward traceability matrix, what we do, we create an Excel sheet. In the first we note down all the requirements one by one. Whatever the requirements on which we are working on, we will note down the requirement details first. Then we will start creating the test cases against each and every requirement. As soon as we start creating on one by one, we keep on adding the test cases number against that particular requirement. And then after execution, if we found any defect, then we create a defect and we uh, write down the defect ID against that particular test case execution. So this is what we have seen in the last class. So that is totally based on forward traceability matrix. In backward traceability matrix, what happens? First, this test in this case, test cases are mapped with the requirement. In the backward traceability, just the opposite. Here, requirement follows the test cases, and here test cases follows the requirement. So just the opposite of it. Its main purpose is to ensure that the current product is developed that is being developed is on the right track. It also helps us to determine that no extra unspecified functionalities are added and thus the scope of the project is affected. That means whatever we have decided as per the requirement, only those we are writing test cases and executing. Apart from that, we are not writing any other test cases which are not part of the requirement. So this is a general definition, but how it looks like? So it looks like this. First of all, First of all, let's suppose you have five requirements. So for all the five requirements, first you will write the test cases. Let's suppose 50 test cases you have created against those five requirements. So what you will do one by one, you will write down the test cases number. Then you will write requirement number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, let's suppose if this test case 1 is written for requirement number 1. So here you will either cross or you will put a tick mark. Let's suppose requirement number 2 belongs to, test case number 2 belongs to this requirement. So you will tick mark here. Let's suppose this requirement number 4 belongs to requirement number 2 and requirement number 3, both. So in that case, what you will do? You will tick mark at both the requirement, against both the requirement. so that if anyone can see, then he can get to know like this test case belongs to both the requirement. This test case coverage belongs to both the requirement. In this way, we create backward traceability matrix. So here what is the difference? Here, first of all, we note down the test cases and then we write the requirement number. And against that, we keep on putting the mark, either cross mark or tick mark, you can say. But in forward traceability matrix, what we do, we first note down the requirement and then against that requirement, we mention the test cases number. So that is why it is known as backward traceability matrix. Here, first we note down the requirement, then test cases, and in backward traceability, we first write down the test cases, then requirement. Just an opposite. Now it depends on the project which one they wants to follow. Mostly we follow this forward traceability matrix, but again in interview they can ask you what is backward traceability matrix and how it is different from this one. So first of all, you have to say the definition and then you have to explain them with this example. Anyone has any confusion? If not, then we can move on to the next. Next is this. I have created a resume for an experience of about 3 years based on whatever we have covered in our both the projects. Okay, so this is not the final one because here I have included both the things. In project one and in project two, whatever we have covered, I have included both the things. You can separate out from here. Like if you want to go ahead with the waterfall models, then you can go ahead. You can separate those things from here. If you want to go ahead with the agile model, then you can separate that one. Or if you are confident enough to show both, then you can go ahead with this template. If you want to do any modification, any customization, that also you can do. So this is a sample uh, resume I have created. This is an objective. This will be same. I'm seeking a challenging position. Like anything you can write. If you want, you can modify this also. This is not important one. The important one is this one, professional summary. So having around 3 years of experience in software testing in the areas of the web-based using manual testing technique. So as of now, we have only tested web-based applications. So I have here mentioned web-based using manual testing techniques. So we have used the manual testing technique. If you have knowledge of automation, so you can mention here manual testing and automation testing techniques. Both you can mention over here. But this is only for manual. Next, solid understanding of test planning, test design, test execution, defect reporting and tracking. One more thing is test strategy. So we have covered all this document, right? What are the contents are there in these documents and what are those meanings? Everything we have covered. So if you mention this line, so they will start asking you questions from test planning, test strategy. Like in test strategy, what are the different components are there? So you can open the document that I have shared to you. You can uh, there there are different sections. So you have to remember all the sections name, and in every section, what are the details you specify or your project specify. So that on a very high level, you have to explain to me. Whenever you mention anything over here, each and every word, please be very careful while mentioning. If you are confident enough, like you know about this, you can handle this one, then only mention. Otherwise, if you mention something which you don't know, they will start asking questions from there. If you do not answer, then you will be rejected. But it also doesn't mean like if you will not mention anything. If you don't know this, then you will not mention this because They also have some expectations. They all before calling you for an interview, they will go through your resume and they will see like what are the knowledge you have, whatever the details you have mentioned over here. If it finds attractive to them, then only they will call you. Otherwise, they will reject you. They will even not select you for the interview. So that is why the details that I have mentioned is very required. You cannot ignore all this. These details you have to mention at least. Then only your profile will be selected. There will be a chances of selection. So test planning, if you don't know, again open the document and go ahead, go through the recordings, how I have explained. Note down everything because every time you cannot watch recording. So note down, prepare a note about each and everything. A very high level note that you can explain in an interview. So in that way you prepare. Similarly for test strategy, what we do in test design, what we do in test execution, what are the tools we use for test execution, where we create defect and how we track it. Everything I have discussed. Well acquainted with the software testing development lifecycle and software testing lifecycle. Like we know about both these things, and we can also explain the different phases of SDLC and STLC. Working knowledge of test management tool QA deputy. So we have the knowledge of QA deputy. That also you can mention over here. Experience in SDLC like Agile and waterfall model. Both the models we have the knowledge. How the work goes on in SDLC Agile model or in SDLC waterfall model. We are aware of about both the things. Good knowledge of defect life cycle. Defect life cycle I haven't covered in detail. So this part will be covered in the second phase of the batch that will start from tomorrow. Okay. Experience in interacting with business analysts, developers, technical support. You can also mention over here product owner, technical support to understand the requirement specification. Experience in various financial in various, or you can simply write good knowledge of on banking and e-commerce domain. We have covered banking and e-commerce domain, so you can say this. You have good knowledge. Okay. Extensively worked on various testing types such as functional and regression, sanity and smoke, database testing, functional and regression. Right now, you can tell in the interview like you have worked on functional and regression testing. Functional testing you have worked on totally, like whatever we have covered in project one and in project two, that are totally on functional basis. Regression, what is regression testing? That also I have explained to you. So you can say this, you can explain them. Mostly they will ask you what you generally do in regression testing. So now you know like how what we generally do and what we have to explain. That already I have explained in the last class. You can watch the recording. Again, you can prepare some more. What is sanity testing? What is smoke testing? What is database testing? So these three we are going to cover from tomorrow. Okay. So they will basically ask you what is sanity testing and smoke testing, what is database testing. In database testing, what we generally do. So you can mention all this. These three you can mention who have opted for the entire course. If you have knowledge, then you can mention. If you do not have, then you can only mention functional and regression. Sanity smoke you also have you can also mention because those who have opted for only project, they said like they have the knowledge of basic manual testing. So if you have the knowledge, then you can explain sanity in a smoke. But those who have opted entirely, I will explain what is sanity and smoke in database testing from tomorrow. Okay. Working experience with defect tracking tools like Jira. We have used Jira for defect tracking, creating defect and tracking. purpose. So that also you can say. They can ask you like how you create defect in Jira. So you have to explain them from step one to last step, everything. In this way, we create a defect. Good knowledge of RTM. Now you know like what is RTM, how it looks like, what is backward and forward RTM, everything you know. So you can explain them with definitions and with the differences. So if you have not full confidence, so just mention good or basic knowledge. If you have full confidence, then you can write different word like well acquainted or solid understanding or extensively worked on. This kind of word you can mention. But if you think like you do not have or you will not be able to explain them in detail, then simply write you have basic knowledge or good knowledge of in this way. Okay, so this is the professional summary part. I have written keeping those two projects and the last till last this batch, what I am going to cover in this batch, entire thing I have written keeping in mind. Okay, then in educational section, you can mention your educational details. This is also required to mention. Then in work experience, you have to mention like if you're saying 3 months, 3 years, then you can say overall 36 months of experience as a manual tester. You have to write your designation. What is your designation and in which company? So here you can mention the company name and here you mention the designation. Having hands-on experience in Jira and QA deputy, played a key role in functional and regression testing. Till now, you can mention this thing in working experience. Now it comes the technical skill part. In technical skill, domain expertise, e-commerce and banking, defect tracking tool Jira, test management tool QA Deputy, what test on which testing model you have worked on, so waterfall and an agile platform. So that was the Jira. Jira we have used for agile platform. Database testing, so which tool we are going to use, still I have not decided. Or either it will be Oracle or MySQL. So that we will get to know uh, next week. So that is why this part is blank. Other skills you can say you can work on MS Excel and MS Word. Okay, so these are the as a manual tester, these are the details that you can show as a technical skill. This part will be very much important because most of the manual tester doesn't know about the knowledge of database. So you can if you mention this one, then this will be an highlighted part in your resume. Okay, now you will start mentioning about your project. So project one. So here you will write the project name, right? So now you are not going to mention e-commerce application Luma or banking application XYZ. That you are not going to mention. What you will do here, that I am telling you, any of your friend you may have contact, like he or she is working on in any company as a manual tester or as an automation tester, and definitely you will find like she is working on an e-commerce application or any banking application. Mostly in project, we as a manual we generally do manual testing of e-commerce application or banking application. So what you will do, you just ask the name of the project from them. I mentioned that project name here, and that client is from which country. Mention the country name and it is on which domain. If it is e-commerce, so here they write e-commerce domain. One of the leading e-commerce domain in US or e-commerce industry in US, e-commerce platform in US or UK. So if all are in development also, then also they are working in a project. So just ask the project name, mention here the project name. They are not going to verify. Like even there are so many different clients, thousands of clients are there in the market. So we also don't have any knowledge. Just mention that name, that project name, and also ask like this client belongs to which domain. If it is e-commerce, then simply you can mention the name and also ask like it is from which country. So just change this one. Only this information you need. Environment, ask like on which environment the application is developed. Mostly it will be .NET. Any e-commerce application or any banking application generally it is developed on .NET application. .NET language they use to develop the application. But ask them like developer can answer this one very well. On which application, like which environment on or on which programming language the application is developed, whether it is .NET or it is Java. That ask that and just mention over here. In testing tool, you can simply write QA Deputy and MS Excel. QA Deputy is test management tool and MS Excel you have used if there is no test management tool. That's it. Then duration, like from in that project, from which date to which date you are working. So you have to mention that one here. Agile platform, if you're about to mention, if you are confident about Agile, then type here Jira. Okay, and then you will write the description. In that project, suppose that is the project one and that is based on e-commerce. So you can modify this line, this sentences. This one I have written for healthcare management. This is my old resume. I have already worked in a healthcare domain, so it is the same description I have written. But just reading the line, you just have to modify some of the words based on the e-commerce domain and just do that. Instead of Selenium, you will write manual test cases. Instead of healthcare, you will write e-commerce. Everything will be same. Now, in that project, what were your roles and responsibility? So you were basically your as a 3 years of a manual tester, you can simply create and execute test cases for different functionality in Agile and waterfall model. You can execute the regression. I will come to that part. Executing the functional and regression test cases against various available versions of product for every release going into production. So you can simply write this line. You are responsible for defect creation if found during test case execution. Work towards deadlines and prioritizing the workload. These are some general words, general sentences that we write. So everything is written over. You just need to copy and use. Okay, now in personal details, you can write your date of birth, your languages. Now in this roles and responsibility, you will mention this thing. And once you mention the project name, and if it belongs to e-commerce, then they can ask you one question. So in that application, what are the different sections are there in the application? And so this will be your first question. So let's suppose this is your e-commerce application. So as I said, you just need to get the name. Just put it over there. And now what you will explain? You will explain whatever we have covered. You will explain them. Never mention Luma word. Always write mention the application name that you mention in the resume, the project name. You will see there. So in that application, there is a sign up page and signing page. This is that which is very common. Okay, once we log in into the application, then there are different sections like there is a what's new section where if any new product is added in the is available in the market and it is added in the application. So that we can see in an what's new section. There is a section for men and women. So there are different options are available like shirt, t-shirt, jeans, formal pant, casual trousers. So whatever you see on Flipkart and Amazon, that you can say here. So under there is a women section, in that we can see all the details. In the main section, we can say this categories. Right, this all you can mention. There is a gear section where we can shop for bags, any fitness equipment or any watches. There is a training section. There is a video available that shows like how a new person can access this application and can use this application. So there is a training, a video is created. They can download the video, or they can play the video, and they can understand about the application. A first time user. This also you can say. There is a when we search, there is a search bar. When we search any product, then we able to see the details about the products. We can add those product in a cart. We can wish list that. We can do the shopping. So these are the things we have. These are the sections. Different sections are available in that application. On a very high level, you have to explain. Don't explain them 15-20 minutes. They are not interested. They are not at all interested about your application. They just want to know, do you have actually worked in that application? So they just want to know this thing. So if you mention about this different sections, and if you explain very high level, just try to complete this in 5 minutes. Okay, and let then lead to them. Now they will, if they are interested, then they will ask you. So let's suppose there is a add to cart section, right? This is what you have said. So what are the different test cases you have created for that? So in that case, you will tell them about positive and negative both test cases. Like there is a add to cart section. So for this we have created this positive test cases and this negative test cases. You just have to mention about the test cases, not the test state. So the way we write test cases, you have to explain them. Like in add to cart section, if you again go back to the recording, then you can there you can see like what are the things we have covered. So in add to cart section, you can say we can add a product. Like we have written a test case that will select the size and the color, and we will be able to add to the cart. We have written a one test case for this. Once that is added to the cart, then we can navigate to the cart section. So there is an option comes proceed to checkout. For that, we have written a test case. Okay. Also, there is an option called view and edit cart, where we can view, and if we want to modify, then we can edit that one before proceeding further. And for proceed to check out, we have written a test case. So whatever you have done there, so on a very high level, you have to explain them. So there is an option for selecting an address, providing the address details and the amount, and then we can click on next button. Then there is a review and payment page comes. So there we review our billing address, and then there is a payment section where we can do the payment like cash on delivery or any card, credit card, debit card option are available so that we can select, and based on that we can place the order. So for all this, we have written the test cases for add to cart section. In this way, you have to explain on a very high level. Okay. So this is how you just need to know the name, because that name should be realistic. Like we're not saying Luma. This is a demo application, right? But what you will explain that we have covered in our projects. The same thing you are going to explain. Every e-commerce application will be similar to this, and they are still not interested. After that, they will give you some scenarios. Like they will ask you, they will give you an example of e-commerce application, and they will ask you, this is a scenario, write the test case for this. So their challenges will come. So there, based on that scenario, you have to write a test case. So there will not be any requirement document. There will not be any software requirement document. They will just give you the scenario ID, and they will ask you, based on your common sense, write the test case. So whatever you think, Just think about in that way, in step by step write the test cases. And definitely that if you are talking about e-commerce, so they can give you an example of e-commerce. Like there are so many different examples I have seen, I have learned about. Like Keshav is not there in the course, so he has already attended the interview. So for to him, the interviewer has given some assignment to complete. So actually, I helped him in completing that assignment. Okay, so they will ask you like if you book an Uber, the that is booked, but again you cancel it. So for this, write the test case. What are the different steps from start to the end? Whatever the steps you will follow, like how you will book the cab and how you will cancel it. So in that way, you have to write or you have to tell the test step. This kind of thing they can ask in an interview. So that experience will only come once you start writing the test cases. This is a very big application. Just write test cases for anything. Again, for banking also there are. I have already created user stories. So all the work I have already done, but this thing product owner will tell us no. Now that will happen in a project when you will start working on. But in interview there will not be any product owner. So they will ask you based on your knowledge, just write the test case. Whatever you think, based on that, write the test case. So that is not a real project you are working on. They just want to test your knowledge. Do you have the knowledge of test case writing? Simple examples they will give you. They just want to know like whether you are capable of whatever you have mentioned in the resume. Right? So without any requirement document and without any product owner or business analyst, you have to write the test case. But that will not be very difficult. If you practice, you can simply write it. It is not very tough. Okay. And for banking application, I don't need to explain anything. Banking application also you will do the same thing. You will ask any banking like Bank of America or Bank of England. There are different banks are available. You just need like you should not mention Bank of America or Bank of England. Like these are very big bank. It's an organization. So any small IT company cannot take a project of from that big organization. Big MNC company like TCS or CTS or Capgemini, they can get the contract from such big organization. So you have to be very careful while creating your resume. So any small banking application, if you talk about, just discuss with some of your friend and try to get the knowledge. Don't ask them you are going to mention in the resume. Just talk them. Just discuss with them and try to get the knowledge and mention the same in. If they belongs to a small IT company, like it is not a big MNC, then you can simply use that knowledge, that information, and put that in your resume. Banking also you have to do the same thing. Just mention the bank application name and the banking domain name. And what you will explain the same that we have covered here. There is a home page, there will be a login section, there will be a sign up section, there will be customer login buttons. Not don't say button, just say like there is a customer section there where customer can create his account, can add some deposit some money, can withdraw some money. In this way, you have to explain. Or we generally use internet banking nowadays. So from you can write test cases of your internet banking. Let's suppose if you work on Axis Bank. So Axis Bank internet banking, you can log in. Just log in and write the test cases for different sections. That will help you to build up your technical skill. So you do not have to rely only on one application that I have covered. Now you have the knowledge of banking applications. So just try the same in the real banks like Axis Bank, SBI. Most of us has the account in SBI. So open the SBI internet banking and start writing the test cases. See that what are the different sections are there. Start writing the test cases for that. Prepare some notes. Like in interview, how you will explain. In interview, you have to explain on a very high level. Don't go in detail. They will, if they want, they will ask you in detail. Then you explain in detail. But before, you just explain on a very high level. But when you are explaining on a very high level, so make sure it you are passing the sufficient information. Like they are also happy whatever you have explained. It should not be in detail. It should not be very high level. In this way, you have to tackle this one. They are not interested. They just want to know if you are mentioning banking application. So do you have actually worked on? So if you mention those different sections, so they will understand you have the knowledge. Now they will test your knowledge. They will give you generic examples, scenario test scenario ID. Any scenario they will give you, and they will ask you to write the test cases. So there they are interested. They just want to test like on the spot. Are you able to write the test cases? If it is 80% correct or not, that they want to know. That is your selection or rejection. Before that, whatever you are explaining, it is not very much important. So that is your selection and rejection point. Scenario you have to explain. Then they will ask you some basic concept of testing like sanity testing, smoke testing, SDLC, STLC, defect life cycle, and then there are different RTM, bug tracking tool. They will ask you these generic questions. So you have to be prepared about those also. So this part, and if you are able to 80% at least you are able to write the test cases. If they are happy, they will select you immediately. Yeah, that I will share in the second section. That is why there is second section. So there I will explain all those things. Okay, so as of now, regarding the projects, only these things you can explain. In this way, you have to explain them. So don't think like in detail you have to explain everything. If you try to do that, you will be in trap, or they will interrupt you in the middle and they will start asking you the questions from there. So then you will not be able to handle that. So I would suggest don't show more experience. If you do not belong to IT company, so don't show more experience, 5 years or 6 years. Try to show 3 years of experience. Or if you have very good source, like there is a very much good contact that your friend or any colleague can help you. So there, based on their suggestion, you can go ahead, just explain them whatever the knowledge you have, and I think then you will be selected. So first try with the small IT companies. Don't go with big MNCs. Just try to get a project in that company. Stay there till 1 year. Get the actual real feel of the how we work in a project. Then switch to different company. Then try to switch to a different big MNC company. But first of all, I would suggest just get whatever. If anything is coming as an opportunity, then just go ahead with it. Yes, you can ask.
Sir, actually, means I didn't complete the whole manual till now, but
Mhm.
before that only I had uploaded my CV just to try.
Mhm.
So when they call you on the phone and they start asking you questions, for example, like what is your CTC, and then why are you changing, what is your last day of working, then for all this what to answer, because every time I changed I searched on YouTube, but I am going as an experience of 3 years, so I
Mhm.
don't know what to answer.
So
So if
you
I
are
have
showing.
to tell. Hmm.
So let's suppose if you show any experience, if you say like you are already working in an IT company, so how you will manage the Form 16 PF slip, 3 months pay slip, and your joining letter? How all this you will manage? Because
Sir, one of my before taking break when I was working, when I was in college, after
Mhm.
internship, that sir I have spoken and he's ready to give, but he is not giving form 16 PF document. And he just told that you can try in a small basic company.
Yes, that is why I
Then
said like try in a small IT company. If you are showing fake experience,
hmm,
then try in small IT company. There they will not do some more verification. But if you
yes.
try in BMNC company, they will do background checking. That
Yes,
person
because
will come.
now directly on the
Mhm.
mail, TCS and Infosys, they told me after sending the details, I just wanted to give interview. I didn't wanted to go ahead with the company because they told first send your PF document. If
Mm,
you have PF, then only we will go ahead.
right. And not only this, but like they will also one person from the company will come to your home. You don't know, you do not have any idea. It will come to They will come to your home and they will do the background checking. Like they will try to ask from your parents your photograph for your photo with them. Some details they will ask from your parents or any family member. So this kind of level verification also they do. So that is why I said like first trying small ID companies, then get the real, then everything will be real. Your experience, your documents, everything will be real. Then go ahead with the MNC company, then there will not be any problem. Okay, so
Okay.
that
So, sir,
also you
for a
have uh,
hmm.
go ahead.
So then, when they ask, should I tell that my working day, I have to tell my working day, or I should just tell that I am still working? For all these questions, what to answer? And then,
They
what is your expected salary? And
no, last working day they cannot ask, because once they select, then only you can put a paper on your previous company or on your current company in your current.
notice period, they were asking.
If they ask notice period, then say 1 month. Or
Okay,
if you like you can immediately join, so tell them like 15 days. No, I would suggest say 1 month. In
one
one
month.
month I can join. If they ask about CTC, then say like for 3 years of experience, how much, what will be your CTC? It might be around, if you're working in a small IT company, then it might be around 3.5 or 4, you can say. three
Now,
years of
currently, my the CTC which I'm showing is 3.
Don't show 3, because then there will be a problem in negotiation. Okay, you can show 3 or 3.5. You can show, not a problem.
Okay. No, the sir who's giving me, he told I cannot show more than this because they have some problem.
Because just try to show less. Don't try to show more. If you show less, then
Okay.
that is fine. Because first of all, like you are showing fake experience. Second,
Yes.
you should not take any risk.
Okay.